Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me. Let me start with a question. Why is it that in most sectors, technology and innovation means faster, better, and cheaper, but in healthcare it often means slower, more expensive, and not much better? Well, the answer I'm going to posit for you is incentives. In US healthcare, there are magnificent incentives for product innovation, few incentives for service innovation, and almost no incentives for business model innovation. It is the combination of these three, product innovation, service innovation, and business model innovation, that have transformed the productivity and the efficiency in other sectors. Product innovation alone won't do it. An iPhone, without Google Maps, without Uber, Spotify, Amazon, E-Trade, Instagram, let's keep going, well, without those, an iPhone is just a very expensive phone. So let's start with service innovation. In the United States, we don't actually have a healthcare system. We have a sick care system. It uses the best technology that was around in the 20th century. So that's buildings where you plug into electricity, people with knowledge in their heads, and products that are designed to be safe in everybody and work in somebody. Well, the medical challenges we have today are mainly chronic non-communicable diseases. We spend about 80% of our resources managing these. They're principally managed in people's homes, by patients, their families, and most frequently, they're treated with drugs. So we need to build a healthcare system that recognizes that reality and complements and extends the sick care system we already have. And we should build that de novo using the best technologies that we now have in the 21st century. So the potential of a building where professionals plug into electricity can be magnified by the awesome power of a mobile device where a consumer logs on to the internet. And the capacity of professionals with knowledge in their heads can be massively extended by software and servers with intelligence in the cloud that can be accessed by consumers. And products that were designed to be safe in everybody and work in somebody can become services that are tailored to you, your genes, your lifestyle. And they can be delivered using this new technology where you live, work, play, and pray. So the image that you see here is an innovative digital medicine product. It's an oral pharmaceutical that contains a microscopic, FDA-approved edible sensor made of ingredients in your natural diet. It communicates when swallowed to a device that's on your body, like a patch. The patch tracks your activities of daily life, and it records exactly what medicine is ingested and when, and it's paired with your mobile phone. So it downloads encrypted data to your phone, and then Bluetooths it over to the cloud so that it can be shared with family members and professional care teams. Why is this a potentially interesting product innovation, and can it drive service and business model innovation? Well, the pharmaceutical industry has created enormous therapeutic capability, but a lot of that capability is wasted. Universally, adherence to drugs is well below 50%, and that's true for everybody. It's all demographics, all diseases. It's true for cancer. And shock horror, drugs don't work if you don't take them or don't take them properly. So in the Annals of Pharmacotherapy, just last year, they published a study. It estimates that inappropriate use of medicines costs the United States healthcare system $530 billion every year. That is 16% of our total budget, and it is more than we actually spend on the drugs themselves. This is not a defective patient problem. We're all human. This is not a defective product problem. The drugs can work. This is a defective service problem. Consumers struggle in open-loop systems without measurement, without feedback, and without any behavioral nudges. And so digital medicines are specifically designed to solve that problem. And we've tried to prove that by conducting over 100 clinical studies in over 2,000 patients. One example we presented recently in hepatitis C patients. These drugs are expensive. They don't work if you don't take them. Over 50% of patients with a diagnosis of hepatitis C in the United States with a prescription are denied fill by their insurance carrier because they're too risky. So we enrolled 288 patients in 18 centers who were considered too risky. They were all denied fill. Most of these patients were mentally ill. Most had a household income below $25,000 a year, and 40% of them were drug or alcohol addicted. The result, 99% of these patients were cured. 99% were cured. I could quote lots of other data, but look, this is what we do, and it happens every time. So with a digital medicine, consumers can engage with their own care, families are empowered to support their loved ones, and healthcare providers are enabled, using data, to intervene appropriately. So here's the service model innovation. Hepatitis C today, risky patients are denied care, and your liver disease progresses. That will cost a lot. Service model tomorrow, risky patients offered digital care, and the liver disease is cured. I'm going to shift now from service model to business model. You get what you pay for. In America, you get paid more for doing more. And guess what? Every year, we get more. So a crucial shift in the payment system has to be from volume, more for more, to value, more for what consumers actually need. In the US, consumers are frankly removed from buying decisions and from their costs, and the American taxpayer underwrites roughly 60% of the total cost of American healthcare. So if we're going to tackle that, then we've got to tackle the payment system. And frankly, again, it's worth learning lessons from tech because they've delivered trillions of dollars in value by innovating business models and payment systems. They're well on their way to delivering computing and communication for absolutely everyone, everywhere. Most people who own a mobile device make less than $10 a day, and they bought it. So 3 keys to making that happen, in my view. Consumerize. It's a cell phone, not a workstation, and there is more computing power today owned by individuals than by governments and corporations combined. Systematize. The tech ecosystem enables a seamless experience with all of the complexity dealt with by the producer and not by the consumer. And globalize. Sell to everyone, not just to rich people in rich countries, with payment models tied to how consumers earn, as opposed to how corporations want to get paid, or how much the US taxpayer will spend. Now, it's worth noting, this is not an accident, and it's not an act of Congress, and it's not gravity. It's a business strategy. In the US and in healthcare, we have a long way to go. Consumerize? No. We sell to governments, large corporations, and professionals. Systematize? No. We sell expensive components, and we make users figure out how to use them. Globalize? No. Everyone is focused on specialized therapies that are mainly sold to very rich people. If we're going to do that, consumerize, systematize, and globalize, then the way that the US government regulates and pays for healthcare and underwrites innovation is an absolute key to changing the dynamic and making the future happen. I'm going to give you one example of a business model innovation that's made possible specifically by a digital medicine, and that's paying for drugs when they're used appropriately rather than when they're prescribed. So we recently signed a state Medicaid contract. It's based on the hepatitis C data I showed you previously. The service model innovation is denial of care for risky patients becomes digital care. The business model innovation is that the state Medicaid plan only pays if the patient is cured. Otherwise, they pay nothing, right? That's a value-based payment, not a volume-based payment. Last topic. I'm going to talk about data privacy. And this is an area where we should definitely not follow the example of the technology industry. We need data privacy, but much more acutely, we need data ethics, and we need trust. So in 2018, Stanford University conducted a seminar on ethics in digital health, and our company was heavily involved in catalyzing that discussion amongst industry stakeholders. When we floated the idea with Stanford and with the Vice Provost for Teaching and Learning, Mike Keller, he conducted an audit of ethics teaching at Stanford University, which is one of the most prominent technology-centric universities in the world. And he discovered there were 200 courses on ethics at Stanford, and precisely 0 that touched on the topic of digital ethics. That's a big problem. It's clearly an area where we need a lot more research and where the academy can play a big role. So the main conclusion from the Stanford seminar is that when you get consent, that's just a first step. It's not an agreement, it's a statement by a consumer that they trust you. Don't breach it. All organizations should exercise a duty of care and think through the implications of how they use data and avoid anything that harms a consumer. And consumers should control their data and move with it and with them across payers, providers, other care settings with standards that make it as easy as, for example, moving your financial information. So, to summarize, to address inefficiency and excess cost in US healthcare, we need incentives for service innovations. For example, use the internet and the mobile device in every consumer's pocket and purse to build a healthcare system that complements sick care. We need incentives for business model innovations, new payment models that shift from volume to value, and new compliance rules that make it easier for regulated companies to engage directly with individual consumers, and transparent pricing so that consumers can make informed choices. And finally, we need ethical data sharing standards, especially for data shared by consumers, agreed by industry participants, and progressively embodied in legislation. Thank you.